For me, that other BS Ghostrunner 2 trophy is the faster than light one for earning a gold medal in all the challenges. Now, throughout some of the game's levels, you'll find these challenge terminals that you can interact with to start a challenge, and there are 10 in total that get you to do things like kill all the enemies, race through a load of checkpoints, or use some of your abilities. But one of the annoying things about these trophies is the game doesn't show you which levels have these challenge terminals in, so there's no tracking for them, despite it tracking everything else. It's a real oversight by the dev, and it just makes this trophy more frustrating if you're trying to find the last one you need. Now, several of the 10 challenges are quite easy, and you'll probably get them in 1 or 2 goes, but this Tempest Master one took me ages. You have to use your Tempest skill to force push an explosive barrel into these blue targets that move around, which is a lot easier said than done because the targets move fairly quickly. Some of them you'll want to try and get when they're close to each other, and the barrel is really slow and awkward to aim, and worst of all, it only respawns once it explodes, so you'll have to be waiting for it to hit something before you can fire again. It's just really frustrating, and annoyingly, the only way to restart a lot of these challenges is by dying, and then you have to have this 3-second wait before you can begin. It just makes it more frustrating. The trick is to have good timing with a lot of these launches and make sure you line up and find a sweet spot where you can aim, look at something in the background and point your target there and hope that you can just hit them all. You really do need to get a lot of these on your first attempt, because if you have too many misses, you're not going to have enough time to get the gold rating, which can be really frustrating, especially when you have a perfect run and then just get stuck, unable to hit your final target despite launching a load of barrels at it, just failing every time. It's really annoying, and it happened to me here. I had plenty of time left to easily get the gold time, but I just couldn't hit that target because I was just panicking too much and trying to just shoot quickly. So frustrating. This one will definitely take you a lot of practice to beat, but it is doable. It will just annoy you until you get it. Another annoying one was the run, which requires you to use the bike, and this is probably one of the harder ones in the game because the bike's just awful at handling, and trying to get through these tiny little checkpoints with the bike is quite tricky, and there's a lot of stuff in the background of the level that you can blow up on. Also, every time you respawn to retry, this BS happens where you'll just see the bike drop to the ground and you can't move for around a second. So every time you restart, you've already lost a second before you can move, which is just BS. Why is it like that? Why has the bike got to spawn and drop to the floor? And then this bit right at the start where you go over this ramp and go around this right hand corner is probably the worst part of the entire run, because the bike will just really handle badly at this point, and you can easily miss some of those tiny little checkpoints which will just ruin your run. While the bike one was frustrating because of the handling of the bike, this challenge here is frustrating because of the time limit, because it's so stingy. You've got to basically do everything pixel perfect here to be able to have done it quick enough to get the gold time, so you've basically got to kill everyone in the manner I'm showing you in this video, otherwise you'll end up just getting a silver time. And as they're all spread out, a lot of the time is spent just travelling to them, and this bit here is crucial. After killing that robot, you need to throw a shuriken at this drone so you can then attach onto it, so you better hope that you have that ability when you try and do this challenge. Then you got to hope for a good smash with the drone so it kills a few of them, and then you got to hope this guy over here shoots his bullet at you so you can deflect it back to him in time. It's just terrible. Then there's this challenge where you have to use your sword to deflect the lasers and make them hit targets, and it sounds really simple and you don't actually have to move, you just turn the camera to aim at each target, but that means you're not looking at the laser, so it's really hard to see if it's coming at you or not, so you'll end up losing your rhythm. And worst of all, there's even moving targets just to make it even harder. It's a really tricky one, this, and it did take me a while, but thankfully the time limit is quite generous, so you can just end up missing a load of your deflections and still get a gold time. But yeah, it is a very tricky one, especially with the moving targets, which I think is a bit much and a bit BS, to be honest. But yes, this one is doable, just tricky, and even though the laser never changes, you can easily lose the rhythm and timing, which I don't really get because it should be the same all the time. The wingsuit challenge was also another BS one, and one that was really frustrating to try and do because the time limit is really tight and you really have to do a few little shortcuts as you're moving. So whenever you're on foot, you definitely need to dash, and at the start you just want to jump off the edge and fall and open up the wingsuit late because that will save you a few seconds. And it really does require perfection, this one. And there's a few tight bits that when you're trying to fly with the wingsuit makes it really hard, especially when you have to slow down time on the spinning things to be able to pass through them safely. And there's a few harsh corners and things within this challenge that you have to get past that will really test your flying skills. There's also a horrible bit when you have to do a nosedive down through these like steel bars, but you can easily hit the sides of them, which will cause you to just fall. And if you fall, you won't be able to get your wingsuit out quick enough to be able to get speed and fly back up. So as soon as you make a mistake on the wingsuit, it's kind of just game over and you're better off just restarting. It's a really, really tricky one that will definitely take you quite a while to master this route. And worst of all, right at the end, you'll go up this big fan where you can easily get blown past the final ring, and it will lose you a couple of seconds to then jump back to it, which I just think is really BS way to end this annoying challenge. This next one was BS right from the beginning.
Whoa, what the fuck?
Once the challenge decided to stop killing me, things didn't let up because this was a really tricky one where you have to do a lot of slow-mo to slow down these things and get past them, as well as have the ability to gap jam on a stunned drone after you've thrown a shuriken at them. It's a really tricky one, and again the time limit is really tight, which makes this challenge really BS and tricky to do. Overall, a lot of these challenges are fairly simple and will require 1 or 2 goes, but the real stinkers in them that I've mentioned here make this a really frustrating trophy, which is why this is that other BS Ghostrunner 2 trophy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.